What is up, guys? Rick Cacus here, and today we need to talk. We need to talk about Destiny 2's raids, because there's been a lot of controversy, a lot of excitement, a lot of attention towards these features of the game, and especially there's been a big difference between the normal raid when it first came out and now the prestige mode raid that has just released. So, what's going on? Well, firstly, the raids are the premier piece of PvE content in Destiny 2. They are touted, they are said even by the developers as the end game for PvE. If you're a player who's not really interested in the Crucible side of things, where you're going to enjoy your time grinding the raid, doing different things in it, doing the prestige mode eventually when it comes out, and it already has at this point, and then the challenge modes when those come out. But what has gone wrong? Because there's a lot of negativity within the community right now about that prestige raid. Well, you know what? Let's start out with a positive here, because I think we need to put things in perspective. Firstly, and this has to be said, if there's any Bungie developers watching, I don't want them to just sit there like, oh gosh, here this guy goes again, but because seriously, the raid design is fantastic. Leviathan Raid, and the entire idea that you're going through just to impress this huge Cabal leader, and the fact that you can see this massive ship from Nessus, they put it in the skybox, so you get a sense of perspective as to how small you as Guardians are as this massive ship turns up, and the leader's just like, yeah, impress me, like show me what you got, basically. And you have to go and do all these crazy different encounters and challenges, like the Gauntlet and the Pleasure Gardens are so much different than other raid encounters in Destiny 1. It is a great design. I think all of the encounters, the boss fight especially, throws you to a wall, throws your group in the ringer in all of the right ways. They are complicated. Not every group is going to be able to do them, but that is the point. That's the point of the raid. And yet you're still able to overcome them and reap the rewards. And the actual rewards in terms of the weapon design and the armor design look fantastic. If you see someone draped in all Leviathan Raid gear, you're going to know exactly where that person came from. You can recognize Leviathan Raid weapons too just by looking at them. That's all good news. And recently, we had the release of the Prestige difficulty Leviathan Raid. I believe that gameplay-wise, it's perfect. All of the encounters ramp up in difficulty an appropriate amount. They all remain thematically unchanged. The original mechanics aren't perverted, but new mechanics are added to make your team just come together to overcome that new challenge. It's really fantastically designed in all aspects. So, what's gone wrong here? Because we just spent a good couple of minutes just fawning over how well designed the raids are. What could possibly be the problem? Well, the only thing left for Bungie to screw up is the only thing that they did screw up, and that is the reward system. Now, the problems here begin with the normal difficulty Leviathan Raid, and then are ramped up exponentially with the newly released Prestige difficulty, and that's why so many people are upset as of late. But we need to start at the beginning. What was wrong with the reward system with the normal difficulty Leviathan Raid? Well, firstly, you have that what has become a very annoying and very unrewarding token system. You can go through a raid and get actual rewards from the different chests at the end of the encounters, and those are cool. You have these really awesome, massive Cabal chests that open up and dispense loot for everyone, and it's always disappointing when you get a few tokens. You have to go back to the tower and turn them into Benedict. Just doesn't feel as special as before in Destiny 1. You would get your raid rewards from the actual raid, from the dead boss that you just overcame, from that loot chest that opened up, but not going all the way back to the tower and spamming a button. It just doesn't feel that good, and that was really proven with the release of the Iron Banner. People just did not mesh with this new token-based reward system. The same is true for the same reasons in the raid, however it is a little bit less pronounced. But I think one of the biggest problems is the clan reward system. It perverts the loot system. It devalues the loot system because you're able to get raid loot without ever having to complete the raid. Think about that for a sec. You can get multiple raid weapons. You can load yourself up with the hardest PvE loot in the game without ever setting foot into the raid, just by going to Hawthorne if a group in your clan has done it. Now, I don't usually say this, but that is extremely casual. I'm sorry, but that is just insane. Trials loot as well. You don't have to do these activities to get activity-specific loot. What is going on here? I don't mind an engram like a normal purple engram would be totally fine, a normal legendary engram, but a specific reward to the raid, to trials, for not ever having completed it, what the heck is going on? Now, of course, some people are going to argue that point because some people appreciate it. They're going to say, look, I don't get to grind 8 hours a day. I don't have time to do the raid. Why can't I have some chance at getting the raid loot? And that, I suppose, is a fair point, but let's put it in a different perspective. This would be akin to, in real life, walking into the Lamborghini dealership and saying, yes, hello, I'd like to purchase a Lamborghini. And the salesman goes, all right, sir, well, this one here is $300,000. This is our newest model. And you say, no. I don't want to pay for the Lamborghini. I just want the Lamborghini. The salesman would go, are you insane? That's not how life works. You have to work, you have to grind in real life in order to pay for this amazing automobile. And the same thing is kind of happening in Destiny 2. People want stuff without having to do the work. You want the raid loot without having to do the raid. Again, that's like wanting the Lamborghini without the money. You have to work in Destiny 2 in order to grind your power level high enough to get good enough loot in order to complete the raid to get the loot. The entire purpose of the existence of the raid is that not everyone can do it. The entire purpose of the existence of the Lamborghini and other things in life is that not everyone can have them. That's why they're luxury goods. You turn your head every time you see a Lamborghini. You're like, hey, oh, that's a Lamborghini, right? You don't turn your head for a Honda Civic because everyone has a Honda Civic. That's exactly what's happening in Destiny. You devalue your loot so much by handing it out to literally anyone, regardless of whether they've done the raid, and also making it so that you don't actually get this loot in the raid encounter. You just get it from turning it into Benedict, turning it into Benedict. It's such an unsatisfying experience. Now, I hate saying that stuff because I know I sound kind of like a D-bag, and I know people have already disliked, have already made comments getting upset at me, but look at this chart. Destiny 2 has lost 78% of its player base in the last 6 weeks. So if you think stuff like what I'm talking about, devaluing the raid loot and making it so that before you've ever done the raid, you have half of the raid collection, if you think that that doesn't affect people's desire to play, well, look at the chart. 78% of the players are just gone. And the casual players who may be upset with what I'm saying, you guys are going to experience the exact same thing in a month. In a month, you'll be up against a wall and you'll realize there's nothing for me to do in this game because everything's devalued, because the loot system is inherently flawed, and because there is no end game. And like I said before, this problem ramps up times a million when you have the Prestige difficulty raid release. Because not only do you have this massively devalued loot that's just being handed out, loot that doesn't have raid specific perks even, which was a huge mistake and it makes the loot feel so much less special, but now with the Prestige raid, you just get cosmetics. You just get armor that again has no specific perks, so there's really no reason to grab it aside from just how it looks. And then you have some shaders and an emblem that doesn't even track your raid completions. So you just have the motivation going down even further for the Prestige raid. And this is crazy because the heroic raids, the Prestige versions in Destiny 1, were extremely desirable because you had loot locked behind them. The Fatebringer hand cannon, one of the most desirable, one of the most famous pieces of loot in all of Destiny, was a hard mode drop, a heroic mode drop from the Vault of Glass. That's why people did it. If the Fatebringer wasn't there, if there was no weapons in the heroic Vault of Glass, the amount of players that would have completed it would be probably 90% less. And I'm not even kidding. That's probably the statistic you would be seeing. The amount of motivation to play that heroic mode would be almost nothing if there wasn't weapons locked behind it. Heck, the Vex Mythoclast was only available in heroic mode, and my gosh, that was a desirable piece of loot, especially at the beginning of the game. So Bungie has just shot themselves in the foot for not separating the loot table and having some exclusive prestige mode weapons that actually matter. However, all of this stuff is fixable, and I've had to redo large portions of this commentary because I recorded it before Bungie did their panel on Season 2, and it was a lot more pointed before. Let me tell you, I'm being calm actually now in these re-recordings. And Season 2 is looking good. We have the live team in charge. The live team were responsible for the April update, they were responsible for the Dawning, and they were responsible for the Age of Triumph. All three things really did help Destiny out. And some of the changes announced during that panel, like the fact that certain armor pieces can get ornaments which are unlocked with gameplay. So when the new Season 2 Iron Banner happens, you can get an Iron Banner helmet that will come with a special ornament that will have like glowing horns or something crazy, if Destiny 1 is any comparison for ornaments, that you unlock with gameplay for, winning a game with a high KD, or winning a certain amount of Iron Banner games, or doing something, or unlocking a certain amount of packages, right? Something to work towards, something to grind for. Now this is kind of a small, like a little hint of the end game that Destiny 2 requires, and this isn't anything like, again, having stuff like the Fatebringer locked behind hard mode and stuff like that to really motivate people to do those end game activities, but this is a start, and if we can implement those same things retroactively into the Leviathan Raid, if the hard mode armor not only looks different but also has unlockable ornaments that look crazy, you've actually added a big motivating factor, and I think a lot more people would be more inclined to do the prestige difficulty Leviathan Raid if you did do that. So Bungie, don't forget about the raids. You saw how effective it was when you redid all of the raids with the Age of Triumph. The game was so lit then. Like, so many people were logging on and playing all the raids, and every week it was exciting to go through and do a different featured raid and get the exotics and all of that stuff. That was all so good for the community, for the game. Don't forget about your old raids. Don't make the same mistake you made in Destiny for almost 3 years until the Age of Triumph finally addressed it. The Leviathan is a great piece of content. As we said before, it's almost perfectly designed, gameplay-wise, for the normal and the prestige mode. Don't let it sit and marinate in mediocrity. Keep it updated, add new rewards, give people a reason to play it. That's what this game needs. And when the new raid comes out with the new DLC, the Leviathan should not be just put on the back burner. Upgrading it with a few new rewards and ornamental armor, for example, like I said earlier, would really help in just giving more things for players to do. I see no reason why those things and the other missing Leviathan content, especially the missing weaponry, can't be added in a future update, whether it be a new expansion, whether it be the Season 2 update, whether it be a live event, whether it be in a year from now. If Bungie goes back and adds, a Leviathan fusion rifle, a Leviathan linear fusion rifle, a Leviathan sidearm into the game and makes them exclusive to prestige mode, whenever that happens, the player base and the interest in Leviathan will skyrocket. So please, Bungie, make it happen. And so guys, that's it for the video. I hope you enjoyed and enjoyed the discussion at least. I know it's definitely not a more upbeat topic, but it's something I think we need to talk about. And frankly, even if you're sitting there hating on me thinking this jerk is wrong about every point, I would hope that you would rather your YouTubers actually come out and talk about controversial issues that may not get them a ton of likes, rather than cower away from all of these issues. So that's it for the video. Again, I hope you enjoyed. If you did, remember to slap that subscribe button for more Destiny 2 content. If you want to get in touch with me and keep up to date with the latest channel activity, the best way is to follow me on Twitter at RickCacus. That's linked in the description down below, as is my Twitch channel, which you can also follow. Again, I hope you enjoyed the video, and as always, have a good day.